Well, good morning. It is Saturday, May 8th. Had to check, make sure it wasn't still April. We have moved it into May. And I want to thank you all for being here. The stream just started. We did start about a minute early, but I am going to hop over to see if people are starting to come into the comments and see how everybody's doing this morning. Looks like we got a couple viewers out there. Hit that like button. Let me know in the comments whether you can hear me or see me. Joe from Controlling Tech is here. And if you are being a clown, he's going to use the band hammer. Morning, Steve Yoder, Brian Murray, Gibby, Sean. Good morning, everyone. Come on in. We're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about Ubiquiti, Grandstream, peanut butter whiskey, Cisco, and switches that I'm going to add to the lab. Xavier's in the house. Scott, David, Xavier, Brian. Everybody good? Good morning. All right. Everybody's coming on in. I hope everybody's having a great Saturday or whatever day it is where you're at. Hope everybody's doing well. And I don't see... Hey, James is here. James just got a care package from me yesterday. He's got another one. Oh, that's something else we're going to talk about. So while I do like the flying voice phones, let's start with this. It takes very little to smoke one of these phones, so to speak. I mean, not like, but like, I don't think they have much over voltage protection. I plugged a 12 volt DC adapter in instead of 5 volt, and this phone is no more. Can't get it to power on at all. James does have a, like I said, I sent a couple of these over to James so James can look at them. You know, we're always keeping our eyes peeled for good alternatives or for other products, you know, so that we're not a one-trick pony. But I got to talk to them because this thing did it. The buttons like started like flashing red, and then that's it. That's all she wrote. But the other one, the Android-based touchscreen, I've been using it all week, and it's working fine, but I didn't accidentally overload that one either. All right, back to the comments. James in the house. Yes, Bill. Good morning. Morning, Jan. Sean, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Tony from Quick Tech is in the house. Tony had a great video this morning about Edgerouter, site-to-site VPNs, and doing an RTMP stream over it, so I'm hoping that... Tony's going to follow up with that RTMP server setup on the Synology because I'm interested in that. All right. Xavier says it's 3:30 p.m. where Xavier is at. Morning, Nick. Morning, Jeremy. Steve Yoder says a couple of pork butts on the smoker and a Willie Howe live stream is a good Saturday. Yeah, I was thinking about putting a pork butt on the smoker. However... we are supposed to get 1 to 2 inches of rain today, starting this afternoon. And, you know, Steve, you know 100%, we don't cook for time. We cook to temp. And so, you know, sometimes a pork butt will take 13, 15, 17 hours. You know, a light rain, I'll let my smoker, I have a Rectech Stampede. I'll let it go like in a light rain, a light snow. But when we're supposed to get 2 inches of rain in such a short amount of time, that one I'm a little sketched out about. All right. David Anderson says, peanut butter whiskey is too chemically. Try the Old Camp Peach Pecan. Is that a whiskey, David, or is that a sipping cream? Morning, Ressie. All right, let me hop over. I'm going to change the screen here. I got to get my Stream Deck hooked back up. By the way, if you need IT consulting, not insulting, consulting, hop over to williehowe.com, fill out that contact form, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. All right, look at this. This is I got new glasses too, and I'm almost adjusted to them, so if you see me messing with them, but if you'll notice, there's no glare on the lenses. I got like anti-glare stuff. And so maybe I need to figure out how to get some anti-glare on this back here. But yeah, I got anti-glare on the glasses, but I'm still, they're a little smaller than the last frames, but the prescription is better. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about Ubiquiti. So got a fairly large client who wants to replace an aging Cisco switch that does layer 3, so does some routing, with a Ubiquiti layer 3 switch. We thought we were going to be fine, but we are finding all kinds of roadblocks and all kinds of bugs in the Cisco switch, and I'm reporting them, or in the Ubiquiti switch, I am reporting them over to Ubiquiti. They are not showstoppers, but if you don't know they're there, they could be showstoppers. So one of the things that we've run into is on the layer 3 switch, in the network setup, no matter what we specify, because there's a place in there where we can actually put a different gateway in. So the switch is .2, and for now, because what we wanted to do is we wanted to run the Cisco and the Ubiquiti side by side, run them in tandem, and then slowly switch the VLANs over and things like that. So what we needed to do was we needed the, well, first of all, in UniFi, the DHCP relay setup only works for USGs. It doesn't work for the layer 3 switches. So that is a problem. So we found that out after we put this switch in, and they've got a Windows server that does all of their DHCP. They've got all kinds of reservations and all kinds of things configured. So that wasn't, we're like, okay, we can work around that. So we can manually make, remake the client reservations. Now, this is a state school organization, which is why we have to go through some of this stuff, because they have certain filters, and so they have to follow the law of the state, and when it comes to child protection and things like that. So a lot of these machines have to have reservations because they get treated differently at the filter. And so, okay, no big deal. We can recreate the DHCP reservations on UniFi. It's going to take us a while, but we can do it. That's cool. But then we wanted to run these switches in tandem to do the switchover, but the DHCP under the DHCP setup on the VLAN, even when we tell it to hand out a different IP for the gateway, the switch is still handing itself out for the gateway. So there's some busted things there. And I got to figure out the best route to get this written up to get this taken care of. So yeah, they do have some layer 3 capabilities, but there are some bugs, and they definitely need to address it. And I'm trying to think which switch we got. It's a Pro. Might be. I think it's this one actually, right here. Yeah, when they move these things down to other and under legacy, you got to wonder how much longer these things are going to last, right? Other. It's like the redheaded stepchild, so to speak. Yeah, we actually... No, it's not that one. We got this one right here. Not this one. I was looking at the wrong one, sorry. It is... Where'd it go? Yeah, I think it was this one right here. And so we've got it in, and we're finding layer 3 hiccups. And so I just asked today, does it... is it a showstopper? Is it a deal breaker if we have to do like these crazy workarounds? And he said no. So we're going to schedule some time, and we're going to discuss these workarounds to get this switch put in. I'm kind of interested to see if it's going to, I mean, in theory it should work, right? But all right, over to the comments real quick. Yeah, as far as real layer 3 goes, I mean, they have some layer 3, but we are definitely missing some features. So Gibby asks, in this situation, do you have to use Ubiquiti or can you use Cambium? So yeah, so Cambium switches, which you're going to see some videos on here, Cambium switches do have full layer 3 like OSPF. I think they'll do RIP. And so you can do some higher end layer 3 routing on the Cambium switches. You cannot do that on the Ubiquiti switches. It is static routing. Inter VLAN or static routing. So it's nothing super spectacular, but it was going to fit the bill for this customer, except now we're running into all these issues. So we're going to spend a lot of time working around the issues. But yes, they want to use Ubiquiti because they like the controller. They like, the single pane of glass. So that's what the customer wanted. And so we had a conversation and ordered it, and we didn't have any idea we were going to run into these two roadblocks. So we'll see. And maybe they'll get to a point where they're like, okay, what else can we do? And at that point, I'd say, okay, let's put in like a 48-port edge switch if you want to stay with Ubiquiti. Brian says, got to be honest, I'm not a UniFi fan lately. Did I packet capture the DHCP conversation? No, but I had the client do several release renews, take screenshots and things like that. And we know that it's the switch because it's a brand new VLAN created only on that switch. And so the DHCP only lives on that switch. Let's see. Yeah, it's hard to beat Juniper for routing. Juniper does do a good job. So I am going to do some UniFi Protect videos. I do have the UNVR. They have added some features that do interest me. The only G4 camera, I guess it's not even a G4 camera. Oh, it is. The only G4 camera I have is the doorbell. And so we'll get that hooked up. We'll get some of the G3 cameras hooked up. But I'm going to give it another shot. There are a lot of people that are really wanting it and don't even want to discuss alternatives. So we'll see how it goes. Good morning, Tom. So it'll definitely be interesting. And their store here is very interesting, right? So UniFi Cloud Key Plus is now under Protect, under UniFi OS. They're definitely making some strategic shifts in the way they present their store. And then under accessories. So a lot of this stuff used to be in EA. And so I'm not sure if it came out of EA or if they are... looks like this is out of EA because I am not signed in. So this stuff that says new, they must have taken it out of EA. That, or if you're not signed in, they're showing new instead of EA. Could be some sort of marketing something or other. Bill Green, shoot me an email. Let's have a quick conversation about layer 3 for multiple building setup. I don't know that you necessarily need to go Cisco, but shoot me an email and we can talk about that. Let's see. Somebody asked a question in the comments. Hey, so Tony asked, hey, Willie, Ressi asked me if the UCM 6300 series supports external streaming for music on hold. I didn't think so. So no, it does not support streaming on hold. It does not support streaming on hold, but what I was kind of thinking about trying to experiment with was creating like an MP3 that you can upload that pulls a stream to see if that works. I've wanted to play around with that, but right now you just have to upload MP3s. And if you upload the MP3s, make sure you pay for them. You wouldn't steal a car, would you? All right. So now that you've got your message, your anti-piracy message for the day, let's go back over to the Ubiquiti store here. Here's the other weird thing, right? Under accessories, the UniFi Cloud Key itself is under the accessories. So they're definitely redoing the way they're representing the store here. And to get to the USGs, you do have to search. They don't have like a spot on the main page anymore. There's no breadcrumbs to get back to where this was leading from. Good price. You're going to see us set these up on, do a whole UniFi network. Everybody kind of voted. Everybody had their input. And so we're going to throw together a couple different UniFi networks. I actually have a really special UniFi video coming today. I'm not even going to like lip what it is, but if you're running a UDM standard, if you're running a UDM Pro, if you are running a Cloud Key Gen 2, you're going to want to watch the video. Yeah, Sean says that there's the US 48 Gen 1, it's not on the sales page anymore. Yeah, I mean, products age out, right? So they can't keep supporting all the products forever. It's kind of like crazy to me to see that they're still supporting the regular UAPs, which does say something, right? So let's give Ubiquiti some credit for as much as they don't communicate as much sometimes, as much as we get frustrated with their firmware problems, as much as we do make sure that we have alternatives on deck because you can't sell what's coming in the future soon. I mean, their support cycle for a $79 AP is outstanding, right? So no other company is probably still actively supporting, a 10-year-old AP besides Ubiquiti for free. Let me clarify that. For free. So when we were when we were in Mexico in 2019 for the Grandstream Partner Conference, a bunch of us did ask for an external input on for Music on Hold. And I believe that is on the developers to-do list. I don't think it's on the short list because at the time they were wanting to make sure that they got the 6300 series out, and then the world happened. So I'm an Open Sense guy, or I like Untangle or IP Fire if you haven't been watching the channel. Go back and look. I've got getting started with Open Sense. We're going to do a lot of Open Sense videos throughout the summer. So, yeah, and James is right. So James James works with me. He's my tech. So when you see James, say hi to James, and he's right. We have been peppering Grandstream with that request. Now, I'm glad that you free PBX fans have been doing it for years. That's great. But I will tell you that I believe that free PBX is an inferior product to the Grandstream UCM for several reasons. And it's not that we don't support free PBX. James does a hell of a job supporting free PBX. In fact, James can support pretty much anything that I can support, anything that I throw at him. He picks it up and runs with it and does a fantastic job. And so when James comes out with a solution, it's pretty solid when he suggests something. Joe from Cajoling says, I bricked my Edgerouter X with a simple firmware upgrade. Send it to Tony to play with. Forums say to use the recovery bootloader. Yeah, it may not be so easy on the Edgerouter X. The Edgerouter X is a different animal. You got to have to get to the console. You got to have the UART cable, and perhaps the Edgerouter X isn't actually bricked. Tony will probably get in. He'll probably fire right up. You're probably just impatient. Morning, Ryan. Good morning, Tom. No, Ressi, I think we should be able to get streaming put in there as long as you have a ticket. Unky Joe is in the house. So, by the way, we started talking about our next Tech Quartet streaming event. So keep your eyes open for that. It's going to be the end of May. All right. Gibby says, are there any documents on advanced setup for Grandstream 2170? I'm looking to do the status of the extension easier. So that's actually super easy, Gibby. You just create a BLF key and then put the extension in there, and that's it. That's it. Green, you're available. Red, you're unavailable, and you can use the button to transfer or call direct. So here's the thing, Sean. We can poke fun at a $50 Edgerouter X, but there are still people, if you've ever been to Shodan, there are still people that don't understand that a $50 router can cause them from not showing up on Shodan and being exposed to the world. So we're over here at Shodan. Let's just do a search for RDP. And so it looks like there's 1,925 results possibly for RDP. I may have put that in there. I may have to search by port. 3389. But is absolutely I'm probably searching that wrong. It's been a couple months since I've had to do this. But if you go over here and you search for remote desktop, and you get the query right, which I am failing at miserably, you will see, yeah. So why people have remote desktop open to the internet is embarrassing when that router only does cost $50. Morning, Dave Robertson. And I will tell you that out of all the Edgerouter X's that we have deployed, once again, you got to give Ubiquiti some credit. Out of the probably 1,000 Edgerouter X's I've deployed in the last 5 years, I can count on one hand how many of those have gone bad. And most of those did not go bad because of factory problems. They went bad because of power problems at the site. So, and you have to go into it. I mean, it is a $50 router, right? So it doesn't have the fastest processor. It doesn't have the most memory. I mean, when you buy products, you can't spend $50 and expect, like you're going to get Corvette performance when it's more like a golf cart. You know what I mean? Like, you got to set your expectations correctly and then leave Ubiquiti alone. They put a $50 router out there. You know how it's going to perform. Don't expect Ubiquiti to squeeze every inch of performance out of that hardware. Just use your brain and a little expectations. So TN Bighorn asked a very good question, and you'll have to look through the live stream, but the answer is yes. Let's see. Dennis says, I have an Edgerouter X running an 8-story apartment building when the microtik router failed. All I did was set up the Edgerouter with the same IP and bang, everything worked. Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing. So, oh yeah, edge core networks are pretty high end. So there are some bugs. Let's talk about that. There are some bugs that we're seeing. So Tony did a video over at QuickTech this morning where he showed how to set up a point-to-point with edge routers and then do an RTEMP stream over it. And he pinged me, and he was using dynamic DNS, and I've seen this now at least a half a dozen times with using dynamic DNS on the latest 2.0.9 hotfix 1, where it'll work fine for a little while and then it just disconnects. And the only way we've got it to reconnect is by rebooting not only the router, but the cable modem or DSL modem or whatever. We've had to reboot both of those devices to get it to come up. And I know it's something with the firmware because it didn't start happening until we upgraded to the firmware, and then we had to switch over to IPs. And, you know, let's see. Yeah, Tony says Edgerouter X SFP has been my go-to for all my residential installations, some in production over 4 years, no issues. And we've got edge routers out there, Edgerouter X's that have been running since they came out, and they're still running solid with no issues. Yeah, so Ryan works for Peoria IT, and they're a 3CX shop because they get that reoccurring monthly revenue. So I've been talking to the owner of Peoria IT, and we're talking about how we can help each other out. He likes that recurring 3CX revenue, and our model is not based on monthly recurring revenue. Our model is based on simple, and I'm not saying that their model is not appropriate, but what I'm saying is the way that we've built our consulting business, it is based on selling the hardware to you from our wholesaler at our cost. So we never mark up the hardware. We only charge you for the setup and then any time and materials later. So we usually beat the competition there. But then we don't have that monthly recurring. So you could, you deploy a system with us and you don't need help for a year. You don't pay anything for a year. So that's how we keep the ROI low, and we have happy customers and they keep coming back. So of course you can't make all customers happy. You're going to have that no matter who you are, what business you are. So yeah, I'm sure that there are some not happy customers, but that's life, right? You can't make everybody happy. That's the easiest way to fail, is to try to make everybody happy. But yeah, Ryan installed a 3CX system. So yeah, I gotta reach out to your boss and further the conversation on that. T and Bighorn, no, that video is coming. All right, so back over to the Ubiquiti store. I have been doing a lot of poking and a lot of prodding, right? So if you remember back in the early days, we did a lot of videos where we poked and prodded things, and we're getting back into the poke and prod phase. And so I'm doing a lot of poking under the hood of not only this is the Cloud Key 2, but this is the UDM, right? So when you SSH in, you definitely see the difference here. This is the Cloud Key 2. This is the UniFi Dream Machine. So I'm trying to get a better feel. We knew on Cloud Key Gen 1s and on the UniFi software, we know that software on that hardware, we knew it in and out. And so we're getting back to where we know it in and out so that we can make things happen, make things possible that other folks aren't bringing to your attention or just don't know about. So, and people always ask me, well, how do you know so much about this, or how do you get it? This is literally what we do, right? We get a product, we break it, we figure out how it works. It's like just messing with a Rubik's Cube, like, well, of course, Rubik's Cube has a pattern to solve it. Maybe that's a bad analogy, but I mean, this is literally how we learn. So James just got a box full of goodies from me yesterday. He's got a Cambium AP, a MikroTik AP that has to be reflashed. I did not reflash it for him, so he's going to get to figure that out. He got a 6-port Protectly. He got, 2 phones. He's got another package coming next week. But I need my guys, and Tim is involved in that. So Tim has gear, but this is what we do, right? We do a full build, a full send, and we break it, or we say, okay, can the product do this? If it can, is it going to work if there's an update, right? So what I'm doing right now is I am combing every piece of the UniFi OS operating system. I'm going through every directory. I'm looking at all the things because I want to know what survives an upgrade. Because when you start tinkering under the hood of a Cloud Key, of a Dream Machine, and you start changing things, you need to know what survives an upgrade. Because if it doesn't survive an upgrade, you need to make sure that you understand how to handle it once you do an upgrade. And because otherwise then we run into some weird troubleshooting problems. So that's what this is. For the last couple of days, I've just been digging underneath the the operating system and seeing what's going on here. So like right away, some of the differences. I mean, the file system structure is pretty similar, and it is the same way. The Dream Machine Pro obviously does not have the access point built into it. But the standard does, and so there's actually a UniFi config file that has your UniFi access point, some of the configuration stuff in there. Obviously, that's not going to be there on the Cloud Key 2. The Cloud Key 2 is going to store that somewhere different. So it's very interesting, and this is how we get good at things and figure out how to do these things. So, and Joe is signaling me. Let's see here. But yeah, don't be afraid, right? Like, don't be afraid to I mean, what's the worst, right? That's going to happen when we're trying to learn these devices. What's the worst that's going to happen? I have to factory default it and start over. As long as it's not in production, we can break it. We can see what's going on. That's what we're doing here. So, back over to the comments real quick. David Anderson says, I have a new UniFi Pro 24 with SFP Plus. Can't seem to get 10G DAC or RJ45 working. So I can't say poke and prod and ASMR. All right. So David Anderson, make sure you're on the latest firmware. And, you're using 10G Tech. I've had some issues with some 10G Tech stuff working with all of the Ubiquiti stuff. It's kind of weird. We had a fireworks store who was a customer, and they bought 10G Tech modules because they said that they would work, and it turns out that these 10G Tech modules absolutely did not work for some reason with the Edge line, which totally blew me away because we'd never had anything up until that point not work. So make sure you're using the Ubiquiti stuff, David. Make sure that you're on the latest firmware. What are your thoughts on the UBNT GPON stuff? So my ISP here, where I'm at now, they have a Florida installation that is all Ubiquiti, and I help them with that. They've got an Edgerouter Infinity, they've got 2 OLTs, and then we've got the 10 gig switch that kind of brings things together. They are actually going to deploy that same system locally within the next 2 weeks. So I'm actually going to be going on site. I'm going to be getting some footage. I'm going to be able to talk to them. So I'm really excited to be able to show you that because I get to work on that gear, but I don't have it in the lab. That's expensive gear. And it's only my second in the field installation with that. I've been involved in some lab scenarios, not here. But it's really exciting, so I can't wait. I've been talking with the admin, and he doesn't see any problem with me coming on site and doing some video and stuff, so I can't wait for that. Dave Robertson says, TN Bighorn, the Grandstream gear is sweet. The new UCM 63 series offers a lot for remote connectivity. Absolutely, they do, Dave Robertson, but the one unknown that we have is we don't know how much that remote connect service is going to cost once it comes out of beta, but they've got to know that they can't price it too high, otherwise people aren't going to pay it. So, good morning, Bob Carpenter. Bob is in the house from the frozen land of Canada. So, yeah, and Unky Joe has had issues with the 10G Tech SFP modules. So, yeah, we stopped using the 10G Tech, and I either buy MikroTik modules or I buy Ubiquiti modules, or we buy branded modules these days. The 10G Tech we have kind of stayed away from. Anyone run into an issue with grayed out firewall rules on a Dream Machine Pro? So you cannot edit the default firewall rules that exist. Let me open up. Let me bring my Dream Machine up here. This is just the base. You got to be careful. This is a live network. Hope you can see this. So if we come over here to routing and firewall, and we go to firewall, yeah, these default rules are grayed out, and you cannot modify the default rules. And you would not want to, much to Ubiquiti's credit, they are protecting users here by not allowing them to edit these, because can you imagine the support nightmare, the support headaches if you let people delete the default rules in UniFi? Oh my. Oh my. It's not a good idea to let people delete the default rules in UniFi. It would cause chaos, and they would have more support issues than they know what to do with. So no, you cannot delete the default rules. These grayed out rules, you cannot delete these. And I am thankful that they stopped people from deleting these, because this, while it runs like an edge router, is not an edge router. And if you screwed up a USG, I mean, there's a lot to this to get this the way that it is. And so, yeah, I'm glad that you can't do that. Don't try to delete the default rules, but you can create new rules and put them on top, right? So you could do something foolish, like on the WAN end, you could create a new rule that allows, let's see, let's create something that's indirect, whatever's with this, drop invalid state, right? So let me allow invalid state. Remember how I told you this is how we break stuff, and this is how we learn? Except invalid save. Now I have a rule 2000 that allows invalid state. That was not good. Should not have happened, but at least I had to manually do it, and I had to know how to create the rule. So don't do that. All right, let's see. And don't try to like get under the hood and delete these rules. These rules are here to protect you. The default rules are here to protect you. All right. Bob says, was up in the middle of the night and discovered that my AC Pro was in 100 megabits and didn't come out of it till I power cycled and reflashed it. That's weird. Yeah, if you go ahead and order the small setup on the GPON, and then you have any questions, reach out to me. If you're using UISP, they have made this a very, very simple GPON solution to roll out. Basically, really the only thing we can screw up is the cabling. And, as long as you've got the cabling right, really this GPON installation is going to go great. And Joe, please make sure you're watching the comments in case things start spinning out of control here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close my UDM base because you don't want to see that. Oh, John says, I have a port forward rule that is grayed out after recovery. Yeah, something is definitely weird going on there. So look for that Ubiquiti video later today, probably this evening. I've got everything laid out to get it filmed, except for I got to go get some peanut butter whiskey, and I got to get some amaretto, and I got to get some orange juice, and I got to get some pineapple juice, and we got to get provisions. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. Mom's got to have a great Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all your mothers out there and to all the mothers out there. Or anybody acting in capacity as a mother. But tomorrow my wife is not going to have to do anything. Wyatt and I are going to be cooking her breakfast, her favorite pancakes for breakfast. And then William, who if you follow me on social media, you saw that he is starting to learn the trade. He is cooking steak fingers and mashed potatoes and gravy for lunch. So Mama's not going to have to do anything, and it's going to be fantastic. All right, back to the comments. Ralph says, I've had issues with devices intermittently dropping off my controller, both a self-hosted. Yeah, it's probably a firmware issue, right? So I've got an issue at a church I've got an issue at a church where we upgraded the controller to the latest version. We redid all the Wi-Fi settings, but now Apple devices can't connect. I thought we fixed this. Between Apple and Ubiquiti, I thought we fixed this, but this issue is going to rear its ugly head again. Good morning, Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. Cody says, hey, everyone driving, but this makes for a great podcast. I hope that this ASMR doesn't make you veer off the road. All right. Blaine says, my HD Flex went offline and wouldn't adopt. So I have had some issues here too, which I'm going to do a video. I'm pulling the Dream Machine out for a bit, and I've got the Flex hooked to it, but we've had some issues when we do firmware upgrades with the Flex not wanting to reconnect wirelessly. So we're going to work on that. Ryan Sharp, I don't know if the peanut butter whiskey is good, but I've seen, I tinker around with the TikTok world, and I've seen a ton of people drinking peanut butter whiskey. So I'm like, you know what? Of all the bandwagons that I could hop on, this is probably not a horrible one. So yeah, Brian, that's right. That's what we do over here. We set the expectations high. All right. Yeah, and Dave Robertson is actually very correct that when you're dealing with Grandstream, you don't get nickeled and dimed to death. And James, this conversation, I think we need to fast track that other thing that you and I have been talking about based on the comments here. So let's talk about that today, James. We need to probably fast track that other thing. All right, Dennis Shelton, good morning. He says, I've got a crazy one for you. On most of our networks where a domain controller was running DHCP, we had a Ubiquiti stack. The DHCP functionality would cease to work over the access points unless we rebooted the stack and the access points. Yeah, so there was actually a bug that was supposed to be fixed, Dennis, where if you were using downstream DHCP, that there was an issue. And I thought they had fixed that. Now, if you aren't using a USG, you got to make sure that things are VLAN only. But in the switches, you cannot, unless you're running a USG, then the DHCP relay option does not work at all. So, yeah. Dave Robertson says, Willie, on your issue at the church, check the controller settings. There's one in there that the firmware update will change. Yeah, we'll have to, I always turn off the auto firmware update. And if it actually did an auto optimize, so that's the other thing. If you're having DHCP issues with UniFi and auto optimize is turned on, turn auto optimize off. Unless people are having problems, we don't turn it off, but our recommendation is always to turn off auto optimize as soon as you start seeing any issues. Dennis Pillow, I'm very glad that you are doing, you seem to be doing well. I'm glad that you are here and you could join us this morning. Dennis has had some very challenging situations over the last couple of years, but he is here. He's participating in the community, and we are glad to have him here. Dennis has been a long time subscriber, long time follower, long time friend, emailer, and it's because of people like Dennis and people like you that we keep doing this. So thank you. We cross over 68,000 subscribers, and you guys hurt my heart sometimes. So I do appreciate all of you. Can Grandstream PBX software run on a PC? It cannot. You do have to buy their appliance, and the reason that they do that is because if they released their PBX as an appliance, I got to be honest with you, they would probably, well, they told us this in Mexico. They will not do that because it will harm their partnerships that they've got with all the other PBX manufacturers. If Grandstream released that as a VM or as they would destroy everybody. They really would. All right, so back to what we've got going on the screen over here. So watch for the UniFi videos. UniFi videos are coming. Grandstream access points, they don't have it on their page yet, but they do have that Wi-Fi 6 AP. They are shipping me a GWN 7630LR, so you are going to see that. I'm doing a whole series on these APs coming up, building a network with them and then doing wireless voice. That is in the works. If you saw my last video, you know why Grandstream APs are currently my favorite access points, and I do. I love them. They just work. In fact, I just heard of my first device that wouldn't connect, and so I'm actually going to troubleshoot that with him, and it's some off-brand, maybe not necessarily an off-brand, but it's like some sort of garage door controller or something like that. And so we're gonna work on troubleshooting that. So, but yeah, the Grandstream stuff is coming on strong. And of course, if you know of any whiskey peanut butter whiskey drinks, so I'm like thinking like this peanut butter cup cocktail looks nice, chocolate peanut butter hot fudge butterscotch milkshake. Doesn't that sound good? What else? The Elvis, a banana and peanut butter cocktail. That sounds like it might be good. Good morning, Mr. Screwball. Like, I usually don't drink before noon, but I could probably be convinced. So yeah, so we're gonna make a stop. We're gonna make a stop when we're grocery stopping. We, you know, occasionally it's nice to recreate. You know, we work so hard. Everybody's worked so hard up into this. Sometimes we got to take a break. We got to enjoy each other. We got to enjoy life. And, you know, the next couple of weeks are about celebrations. Obviously, it's Mother's Day next weekend. My son graduates from high school, so it is a couple of weeks of celebrations and you know, moving the ball forward in a positive manner for everybody. So, and sometimes libations, you know, they keep the wheels moving. Something else I wanted to talk about, and we'll talk about this in a second. I'm going to go back to the comments. Let's see. What's the cost of a simple Grandstream .11ax network router switch and 2 APs? So right now, the Grandstream Wi-Fi 6 AP is not out yet. So I don't know what it's going to be, but the 2 APs are about $100 a piece. Just say $100. You can find them cheaper than that. The router's like $179, and then you need a switch. So I'd probably use a Netgear or a D-Link or, Sean. Yeah, Mother's Day is tomorrow. Next weekend is graduation. I thought I said that. All right. So Bob Carpenter says, I love that Grandstream page. Our APs can be paired with third-party routers. Yeah, so that's a thing, right? And most APs can. So let's go back to that marketing spin. That's kind of what that is, right? They're telling you you can use our APs, but we already, you know, most professionals are going to know that. But all right. I don't know if they sell Boost AR at a grocery store. I don't know. Okay. All right, JH. I have to know, where did you get your Catalyst micro switches? So an old boss of mine, I actually ran into him at Home Depot a few weeks ago, said that if I wanted to get my hands on some of these, to reach out to him and he'd see what he could do. He's actually the sales rep, Cisco sales rep for this area. And I haven't reached out yet because I wanted to buy a couple of these on my own. Where did you get these? If you could tell me where you got the micro switches, I would love to pick one up. Yeah, Ryan, these are Catalyst switches, and they do apparently run some version of iOS. And that's the thing, right? When you think a company like Cisco is going to let these other companies like start stealing their lunch, they got something else, something else coming. Yeah, Dennis says, congratulations on growing one all the way to quote-unquote adulthood. That is an accomplishment. Yeah, so I feel like that is quite the accomplishment, considering that our garden and our plants don't always fare so well. We managed to raise another human being to 17 years old. All right, so let's go over and look at CDW. So Cisco Catalyst micro switch. Do you happen to have a part number you can throw in the chat so I can search just for the part number? Because there are 4,990. Let's see if we can just... Yeah, so there's 4,327 Cisco items. Oh, please have a part number for me. Let's see. Oh, CDW out of Germany, not CDW. Interesting. Hey, Tony, Joe. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Joe. All right, let's see. Bob Carpenter is all over it with these part numbers. Let's see. CMICR-4PC. There it is. Holy cats! All right. So, change of plans. Probably not going to be buying these. I'm assuming that once the market gets some of those, that the price is going to come down. I cannot cost justify $919 for a video, because unless I had a client who was going to roll these out, then I would buy them. So I've got them in the lab, but I'm not monetized, right? So to buy that to do a video, that's a hard sell. Now, if one of my customers goes, hey, we're going to roll out 100 of these, then yeah, I'm going to buy one. But other than that, that's whew. Or if anybody's got one, they want to, yeah, I'm assuming they're going to require a DNA license with them to use it. But if you, if anybody's got one and I can borrow one in the short term to do a video on, I would appreciate that. So, I mean, that would be fantastic. Hey, Sean, thanks for stopping, man. Have a great weekend. Yeah, but if anybody's got one of these, that would be fantastic. So somebody asked about the what you can't see me doing is logging into a router on the other screen. And maybe you can, and maybe I just fooled myself that you can't see it. However, I am going to bring up, since we're talking about Cambium, let's see here. I have on the network a Cambium switch. Let's see if I can find the IP. We will be in good shape here. It's just set to DHCP, and I've been getting in and out of it. Let's see. Sorry this is taking so long. I'll find it. There's a video coming on it. That I will tell you. I am doing I am doing a video on the Cambium switches as well as the Cambium Wi-Fi 6 AP. So that's what I've got right here. Who was it that was asking that in the comments? Yeah, so I don't have my switches, Dale Briggs. I don't have my switches joined to CN Maestro. So the switches are CN Matrix switches. And then I've got a Wi-Fi 6 AP here. Yes, I have been testing them. And so far for Wi-Fi 6, this has been my favorite AP. But we'll get into that in the video. So let's see here. Yeah, Brian says, if only I could get the discounts. So funny story, back in the day, we had a Cisco partner. So we had to redo an entire network, a full stack. We were going to be start doing virtualization and all kinds of stuff, right? So it's a pretty significant stack. And then it also, we had routers and switches out at remote locations. So altogether, you're talking like 20 switches, 3 routers, a couple firewalls, right? So Cisco sent in a Cisco partner to do a network evaluation. Well, what that Cisco partner did when they did the network evaluation was they registered themselves for the deal, right? Now, I don't think it was supposed to go down that way. I mean, they were paid to, do this study and to come up with the gear and everything, and they would get to bid on it. And so they locked themselves in to the special pricing. Well, there was another Cisco partner who had just become a Juniper partner. And this totally pissed off the Cisco partner. So what the Cisco partner did was went to Juniper and said, look, Cisco screwed all of us on this deal. What can you do? And Juniper undercut Cisco by $10,000 to get their foot in the door. And so that's where I got my Juniper experience, and I love Juniper gear. Now, unfortunately, we got into when they first brought out those EX series of switches, they had a lot of early hour flash failures. And unfortunately, we did have some of those early hour flash failures. But I've got Juniper here in the lab, and it runs great, and it's fantastic. I love looking at Juniper configurations because it's everything is hierarchical and bracketed, and it's just so easy to read. Yes, I do trust MikroTik gear in production. I have a lot of MikroTik gear in production. Just helped a customer with a Hex S who's doing open VPN to their cellular sites. Did the config on this. That'll be in production. I am running MikroTik VPNs in production for police departments, and so it's working fine. I love it. That's the thing is that MikroTik will make you learn networking. They do have some easy, like if you just want to do regular, like an easy firewall with NAT and everything, this has got a wizard that'll walk you through that. But the price performance for MikroTik is out of this world. I mean, there are big carriers running MikroTik in the core. You also see a lot of Juniper, a lot of Arista, a lot of other things. You usually don't see Ubiquiti in the core of big providers, but MikroTik will make you learn networking, and a lot of people don't really want to learn networking. They just want to make packets go from A to B, and that's fine. But MikroTik to dig and to do all the things that this can do, I mean, this thing is super duper powerful, and it's like $50. This version, this Hex S, will also actually run the Dude, which is the MikroTik monitoring software where you can monitor your MikroTik network. So I should do a full video on that. I should also do a full video on their CapWAP stuff, because they actually have a really powerful captive portal and distributed Wi-Fi setup stuff. But once again, it's not straightforward. It's not like Ubiquiti where you plug an AP in, and if the controller's on the same network, it'll auto adopt and have, it's a little bit different than that. To get it up and going requires much more than UniFi. But once you get it going, it's fantastic. Yeah, and you'll see a lot of WISPs running MikroTik. Let's see. Yeah, I'll take Juniper over Cisco any day. Yeah. But what you will see is you will start seeing a lot of, I think that all of these companies at some point they share developers, so you start seeing common threads. There's been some lawsuits over how close some of the operating systems are, so you just got to keep your eye on that. So what I liked about the very first command, because I was Juno certified, and I was also Juniper Enterprise Switch certified. And one of the first commands that we learned about was the rollback command for configs. You can do something similar in Ubiquiti, but holy cow, you didn't have that on Cisco, right? So if you made a mistake on a router 1,000 miles away, somebody better be over there with a config cable at the time. Juniper, before a lot of the other companies had that where you could have to do a commit confirm, and it was fantastic. Seren, I think MikroTik does have a small switch with 8 PoE gigabit ports and SFP pluses. You'll have to look at that. We could actually look at MikroTik. Yeah, they don't have their April newsletter out yet. So if you don't get their newsletter is where they drop all their new hardware. And I still like looking at fireworks catalogs, and we're going to get some fireworks this year to celebrate Independence Day. But I like looking at these newsletters, and it actually tickles me still that I still have technology vendors who send out physical catalogs, because sometimes I just like to look at the pictures. I don't know what that says about me, but all right. So over here to the hardware. All right, we are looking for a switch that has 8 gigabit ports for some reason. Okay, so here is, right here. So here is a 8 1 gig Ethernet ports and 2 SFP plus ports for $99. However, for $99, I don't think that we have PoE. Oh, here's something that's interesting. A reverse PoE switch. Reverse PoE switch. Let's see. So here's 8 gigabit smart ports, 4 SFP. I don't think this is PoE. I'm going to pull these up, and we'll see if these are PoE. Okay. So this one is only SFP, not SFP plus. Man, look at this is a hell of a price for this. Desktop switch with 1 gigabit Ethernet port. Lame. I'm just kidding. And 8 SFP plus 10 gig ports, only $269. But I don't think that this specifically meets any of your, but man, look at the price on that. That is so crazy. Yeah, it doesn't look like this one's PoE. I can't imagine. Is it $99? I need to get one of these. I know I just committed a sin by using Bing. I know. $119, probably free shipping. Get it May 12th through the 15th, only 5 in stock. So I'm going to order one of these today. Let's see. Net power. Yeah, this is the reverse. Is this? No, this is not the reverse PoE, is it? Yeah, an outdoor reverse PoE switch. So if I understand this correctly, I mean, reverse PoE, right, is the line sending power backwards. I think that's what that is. I don't know. I almost feel like I need to get one of these in too, so that we can play with it. It's got $129. It's only $129. Let's see if we can find it here. Maybe it'll be on Amazon. Or not. Baltic Networks has it. Baltic's not too far from me. They're up in Lisle, Illinois. I need to go up there and go on a shopping spree. So I'm going to look for that one. Let's see. 8 gigabit ports. Once again, no PoE, but it does have 4 SFP plus cages, which is nice. Doesn't look like this one has PoE out either. So that's kind of a tough, that might be kind of a tough thing to find. So anyway, just go check out all the cool stuff that they've got. So a customer of mine, I'll tell you what we're doing. Customer of mine has 80 acres, and around the 80 acres, they have a perimeter fence. And every 400 feet, they are going to be installing a solar panel and 2 cameras. Another company is doing that, but we had to figure out how to get the wireless there. So we are actually going to do sets of wireless wires all the way around, and we're going to build it so that not one set of wireless wires going down. So we'll have 2 places that were hardwired back into the network. And so we are building this network that's going to be 60 gigahertz all the way around the perimeter, and it's going to be awesome. Let's see here. Admin engineer says, look at Nutanix. So I have 2 Nutanix switches here in the lab. I need to get some videos done on those as well. I have a list of videos as long as my arm. As anybody else who gets into this can tell you, we get into this with the best of intentions, and you get busy, and then your list just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. Yeah, QNAP. Actually, this feed is going through a QNAP 10 gig switch. It's got 4 copper ports, and then it's got 8 copper ports and 12 SFP plus cages, and they're all multi-gig. So there's a video coming on that as well. They did send that over. let's see. What is a good low-priced managed PoE switch? Check out TP-Link. TP-Link has got some good prices. Let's see here. So here's my pointer about any of this technology. So with something like a Cisco, the barriers to entry are pricing, licensing, and all those things. And then they get upset if you go to eBay. They call it like gray market, and they don't want you basically buying stuff off of eBay. And so the barriers to entry for networking for Cisco is ridiculous. That's why they've got like Cisco Networking Academy, where you go to college and you pay for it. Unless you're motivated and you really want to learn. I mean, there's resources and you can put all that stuff together and you can buy used equipment, but you can buy brand new MikroTik equipment for a fraction of the price of Ubiquiti equipment and learn just as much, if not more, about networking using MikroTik, right? So MikroTik router pricing, Joe, just buy one and just start jacking around with it. That's really all you got to do, my friend. Let's see. So you can get a router with a switch built into it, right? So you can get this Hex Lite for $39.95, the Hex for $59.95, the Hex PoE Lite for $59.95, the Power Box, the Hex S, which is $69, which is this guy, the Hex PoE. I mean, the entry to barrier, the barrier to entries here it's not pricing for MikroTik. It's figuring out how to capture that learning curve, right? So back to Blue Robot says, I currently just have a Protectly box of pfSense. Do yourself a favor, switch to OpenSense. And so, Joe, go back and look. I have a wireless wire video. You can go look at it. But basically what a wireless wire is, I need to go to the 60 gigahertz products. What it is a fully configured pair of 60 gigahertz point-to-point radios, and the wireless wire is actually 1 gigabit full duplex. So literally, to build this network, we're not going to have to configure anything. Now we will configure things, IP addresses and things like that, but literally we could take these out of the box and put them at all of the sites and never have to touch a configuration. Now it wouldn't be secure, so we are going to change some of those things, but literally you just take these out of the box, plug them in, you got an instant bridge that's a gigabit. Maybe it's time to do a refresher video on that. Yeah, the QNAP QSW M21082S. That might be this one, Tom. Yeah, the QNAP. So the QNAP switches, they are solid switches, and they don't seem to have the security issues that the other operating system has had at the moment. Doug Dodge is in the house. Good morning, Doug. Yeah, so Nutanix is fantastic. Nutanix is like the go-to WISP switch for a lot of folks. But it's got some awesome stuff in it, and so we'll check that out. Mark Weil says, I love my TP-Link Omada. Omada has been great. We just put an Omada in at a client of mine who has to do some compliance, and they're in the printing industry. And a lot of the computers that are running in these presses have not caught up to Windows 10 yet. So there's some Windows 7 machines. And to pass the audit, you can't have a Windows 7 machine directly on the network. So what we did was we've segmented those out, and you cannot access those machines directly. And they're actually behind an Omada, the same Omada that I did the video on. So let's see here. Can you connect an SFP to SFP plus port? So an SFP, and this could be wrong, my understanding could be wrong, but an SFP will work in an SFP plus cage, but an SFP plus will not work in an SFP cage. Yes, and you can, and JH is right. You can run Router OS in a VM. Yeah, you can download the x86 version. Yep, and an admin engineer is a MikroTik firm. They have over 500 clients with them. Yeah. Yep. Joe, yeah, it's crazy cheap for a set of wireless wire, and you literally, you don't have to do any configuration. As far as I know, Bob, the Hex S is router OS only, as far as I know, but I haven't tried to boot into Switch OS. Yeah. So the last time I was messing with plugging SFP pluses into SFPs, it was with Ubiquiti, and you would think that the SFP plus would negotiate down to 1 gig, but I've had it just not work. Yeah, an admin engineer says in most cases. There's always that not most case, right? So I am going to order one of these in. I'd love to drive to like Baltic Networks and just pick this up in the store. That would be fantastic. Maybe I can arrange that. The other thing is I need to add some more switches to the new rack to complete, not to complete, but to keep adding, I think 500 feet, David Anderson, 200 meters, so maybe 600 feet, something like that. Yeah, if you're here, let YouTube know that you like the content, please. Yeah, smash that like button. 77 of you, and there was actually like 85 of you and only 22 likes. I know you get tired of hearing people say it, but yeah, just let the YouTube know that you are interested. But I'm going to add some more switches to the lab. And so I want to add an Arista because they are super duper powerful, but I got to find one that fits my budget. And I had some picked out and then I got distracted and somebody else bought them. So Arista is one that I'm going to add. And then I've been looking at adding an InfiniBand. So InfiniBand gets into, 40 and 100 gig switching. And so you can see, I can get one of these for $99.98. But then I have to make sure that I get all the proper adapters and that everything can actually communicate on it, because if it can't, then what's the point, right? If I can't actually take the, if something in the chain can't use it, then what's the point of it, right? Let's see. Admin says, how I'm already following your channel. There's something more I can do. I'm not sure what that is in response to, but yeah, everybody have a great Mother's Day, but we kind of ran out of time, but if you please, if you like the content, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, share, follow us on the socials down below. If you need anything, reach out, go to williehowe.com, fill out the contact form. I do want to thank you all for being here. I hope you have a great Saturday. I hope for those of you celebrating Mother's Day tomorrow that everything goes well. Watch for that Ubiquiti video to be released later tonight, early tomorrow morning. That's coming. It's something that a lot of people have been requesting. So I want to thank you for being here. I'm Willie, and as always, I'll